When Eliud Kipchoge broke the sub 2 hours barrier in a historic feat of world-class marathon running, I looked around to see if this epoch-making event elicited equally important lessons, especially for our young people. Unfortunately, I did not see any deep lessons that I would say were commensurate to the great achievements of Eliud Kipchoge, thanks in part to our intellectually bankrupt media that lacks any deep insights on anything. As a teacher though, I think we should always use such great and rare moments as teachable moments, and the teacher in me feels compelled to use the feat to tease out certain life lessons that would be of use to the youth and the not so young. This episode, by the way, is the first in a series of 7 episodes where I will be sharing these lessons from the Kipchoge experience. Welcome. This is Matters Arising. I begin this series with a pre-event social media posting that is typical of how people evaluate our dreams and our aspirations. They do so by using their own limitations to be the measure of all limitations. Nothing illustrates this better than this posting, which was a mathematical calculation. It was posted days before Kipchoge ran to convince us that what Kipchoge was trying or was attempting to do was simply impossible. The author does his calculations and concludes that to run sub 2 hour marathon, Kipchoge would have to run 5.8 meters in every second, and he concludes, mission impossible. Mathematically, this may have looked convincing, and this is how people will always come up with pretty convincing reasons why you cannot do what you want to do. We have been taught to ignore them, but the matter arising for me is not what to do about naysayers. I think there is enough advice out there about that. The matter arising for me is, who are these naysayers? Are they men or women from Mars or from Jupiter or from outer space? Or is it just us? The reason why there is so much advice out there about ignoring naysayers is because there is a lot of them. It is because we are the naysayers. Like the author of this post, how many times have you looked at what someone else is doing and either told them or yourself or other people that it was mission impossible? To be fair, generally, the world was very, very supportive of the Kipchoge sub 2 hour marathon run. In a later episode in this series, I will explore what it takes to have the whole world support your endeavors. In this episode, I want to deal with the fallacy of naysayers. Us. When we tell others that things cannot be done. If we are honest, we have been those naysayers ourselves. We have listened to people's plans and thought, that's impossible. In some cases, we will voice it, rarely to the actual person unless in cryptic and hypocritical postings on WhatsApp statuses and other social media. Before you say that what anyone is attempting is impossible. You will do well to remind yourself that your own limitations are not the measure of all limitations. That you cannot do something does not mean it cannot be done. Your own limitations are not the measure of what is possible or impossible. If you want to take a position on the possibilities or impossibilities of something, it would help you to do a little bit of research to understand the content and the context of what is being done outside the purview of your own limitations. If someone comes to you with a big plan of what they are doing and you think it's too big, too difficult, and almost impossible, before you join the bandwagon of naysayers, remind yourself constantly that your own limitations are not the measure of all limitations. If you truly care and want to help, familiarize yourself with what is being done, why they are doing it, and how they are doing it. If you have any positive or encouraging advice, give it. If you don't have, keep quiet. Never tell somebody that their endeavors and efforts are going nowhere. Never do that. I personally cannot run anything, much less a marathon. I would probably do 800 meters in 1:59.59. But when I saw the Kipchoge feat being promoted, and admittedly it was a highly commercial and choreographed affair, when I saw it being promoted, I needed to familiarize myself with what it actually meant. What does running a marathon in sub 2 hours mean? What are the existing marathon records and targets? Who is Kipchoge? What is his profile? What is his level of talent? What is his stature in the world of marathon running? What kind of preparations have gone into this attempt? Who is behind the attempt? How many attempts have been made before? By who? Under what conditions? And what was the outcome? Once I had all this information, once I had answers to all these questions, my conclusion was that it was highly likely that Kipchoge would achieve this feat. Knowing what I knew, I would have been more surprised if he hadn't done it than when he did it. If I had used my own limitations as the measure of all limitations, or dubious calculations like the ones posted on social media, I would probably have come to the same conclusion that it is impossible. Unfortunately, we will often automatically and compulsively use our own limitations as a measure of all limitations and mistakenly arrive at the conclusion that what other people are trying to do is impossible. Knowing this, especially for young people, knowing this has huge implications on what not to do with your plans. My advice to you is, don't tell people what you're thinking. Don't tell people what you're planning. The bigger your goals and your plans, the less people should know about it. Of course, the bigger your dreams and your plans, the more you will need other people to accomplish them. And here is where discretion is required. If you are matured enough to tackle a big goal, you will know who to tell and who not to tell. When it comes to really big goals and plans, you must only talk to people on what we call need to know basis. Unless someone will play a direct role in helping you achieve your big plans, do not tell them about it. If you do, they will most likely use their own limitations as a base or as a basis of assessing your chances, and they will conclude that it is not possible. Many good ideas die before they take off because they are initially communicated to the wrong people. And believe you me, most of us are the wrong people to share big ideas with. Before you communicate big ideas with anyone, evaluate their profile. Have they achieved anything significant in their own lives? Those who have achieved something significant know that things are possible, but they also know how to make them possible. For the rest of us, we use our own limitations as the measure of all limitations and kill every dream and idea that goes beyond our limitations. We come with a label that says, user beware. I believe that the Kipchoge achievement is a teachable moment, and this is the first of a series of 7 episodes where I will tease out the lessons that we should learn from the Kipchoge feat. This episode was inspired by this post in social media that claimed that what Kipchoge was attempting to do was impossible. The lesson here is not to be wary of naysayers, but rather not to be a naysayer yourself. Do not use your own limitations as a measure of all limitations and tell other people that their dreams and ideas are impossible. More importantly, because we seem to instinctively use our own limitations as the measure of all limitations, it is key for young people to know who to communicate their ideas to and who not to. For the most part, don't. Only let people know about your ideas on a need-to-know basis. If you go talking to everyone about your ideas, they will use their own limitations to judge and conclude that what you are proposing to do is impossible. And many dreams and plans have died this way. Remember, this is the first episode in a series of 7 episodes where I will be presenting 7 important lessons to be learned from the Kipchoge achievement. For Matters Arising, I am Professor Wainaina.